Hey, Nikki Brown here. No matter where you are and what part of the world you're in, I hope that you're having a good day. I wanted to come on today to talk about two people. Now, I want to preface it by saying that I thought I was a research analyst. People that I used to associate with would jokingly call me a research analyst because I was always, if we talk about something and I want to know what's going on, I would Google it or quickly look in a book to find out the information. And people who are not like that, they kind of get upset sometimes, you know, because sometimes people are just hypothetically asking a question and they don't really want to know the answer, or it's kind of like, how dare you go find the answer? But again, it would jokingly be calling me a research analyst. And I even have a set of um, Oxford English dictionaries. Um, I have a lot of good books over here. Behind this chakra sheet, there are more books. Um, so I love to read and I love to do research about different things. Some people only read one book, and if that's how you choose to do things, that's fine. But I choose to explore um, different areas to gain different levels of knowledge. But I'm going to tell you one person who does some very thorough research is Dane Calloway and his wife. I believe her name is Tanisha. Um, and I really admire them. And I really feel like you can do more as a couple when you're on the same page and you're working together. And so I think that's part of the reason why their research is extra thorough. They have each other for support and encouragement. Um, and they have a solid structure. And I think that makes all the difference in the world. Not that you can't do research on your own, but in my opinion, it's just more thorough, more accurate, and more extensive. Again, when you're both on the same page and doing it together in a solid relationship, whether it be a marriage, a committed relationship, um, whatever that looks like for you in your life. But Dan Calloway and his wife are really great at researching. And he always gives her credit, although she's not usually on camera. They do have a separate channel together, but he's typically on camera more than she is. Um, and the other person I would like to talk about, and in terms of doing things being better when you're in a solid marriage, when you're heading in the same direction and on the same page, you can't tell me any different. Again, not that people can't, a single person can't do it, but again, it takes it to another level, and um, having that structure does make a difference. So don't come for me if I didn't send for you. Okay? Thank you. The other person I would like to talk about, which ironically I had a dream that I met him last night. Um, I'm not really sure where that came. I did watch one of his videos yesterday, but that kind of just came out of the blue. But anyway, it's Papa Duck, right? He does some great research, and his research comes from a different perspective because it was in the entertainment industry, so he has some inside information that some of us may not be privy to, and he really, really brings out some great truth, just like Dan Calloway and his wife. So it's great to listen to them. Um, I've exposed some truth over years, but not on the same level because there's always been that fear there, especially again for me, being a single person and a single woman, not having that someone to back me up or be there to protect me. Although I shouldn't have that fear because there are women who are out there doing it. Um, but then, when I came across this knowledge, which was back in like 1990, when did I, 94, I took an African American Studies course and I learned a lot of things that are now being exposed. But who was I going to talk to about it in 1995? You had people who were, say, five percenters were in the nation of gods and earth, but they still weren't on this page. You had Muslims, again, not on the same page. And so, me as a woman trying to say, that's not necessarily the truth, as a man, they're like, oh, well, you're supposed to just follow me and listen to me and take my lead, but your lead doesn't make sense to me, so I can't go along with what you're saying. So, let me just fall back. Because I know that this doesn't make sense. And at that point, it was all about Africa and Egypt. Um, but then around 2008, I learned that from a friend that most of us were Indians. And at that time, using the word Indian. And it was like, okay. Then again, it was reintroduced to me by someone else. It's like, okay. So then when Dane Calloway and his wife came along, it was like, oh wow, I've already, heard about this. And then when you ask, when I asked my mother's side of the family, they know nothing, right? I asked my father's side of the family, oh yeah, we were this tribe of Indian, right? That's where our ancestors come from. And again, Papa Duck comes at it from a completely different perspective. And a lot of what he says is centered around the entertainment industry and finance, um, and different aspects or different levels of life, or how we live or exist in this country. Um, and it's just the research that these guys do is just very profound, and I enjoy watching them. Like I said, I do my own research about different things. I have I have had different interests. And a lot of times people think you're just supposed to focus on one thing, but that's not how my mind thinks, right? My mind is open. So, and I'm an Aquarius. So sometimes my interests, it can change and vary, and I can absorb it all. Whereas some people, they have to focus on one thing because they're not able to learn about different things. And that's fine. But we should accept that we're all different, and we're all different so that we can learn from one another and not to judge or criticize one another and say, oh, well, this person bounces from this to that, but that's how their brain thinks. So if that's how someone's mind thinks, we should be open to accept that their mind is open and can absorb and receive different messages, although someone else may not be open at all. And again, this is not to judge or criticize anyone. We are all different, and we're different for a reason, right? So if I can learn about, I have so many different books about crystals, books about the Kabbalah, I have a Quran, or a translation of the Quran, I should say. I have two Bibles also. Um, I have books about the Bhagavad Gita, which is the Hindu like version of a Bible, which is basically, they tell you these are moral stories meant to teach you a lesson about life, right? I have old school dictionaries. I have my Oxford English dictionaries. I have books about astrology. Um, I have books about finance. I have books about meditation. I have books about um, a lot of different things. And if you don't want to learn about those different things, that's fine too, right? It's not to say that you have to be open to learning new things, but we shouldn't be judging or criticizing someone who is open to learning new things or learning other things other than what they've been taught to learn about, right? Life is what you make it. And, there's this saying that goes, if you don't want a certain nationality of people to know something, then put it in the book. So many people are not accustomed to learning things, right? Even with, my YouTube channel, I talk about a variety of things. The videos that get the most attention are the videos about food or natural hair, right? When I say things outside of that, in terms of etiquette or, learned behaviors and, um, what's the right thing to do versus the not so right thing to do. A lot of times those videos are overlooked because a lot of people don't want to talk about those things. They would rather do the silly, foolish things, the ratchet ghetto things, the dance videos. Those are the things that get attention. So if you're doing something silly, you can get a lot of attention unless you're extremely radical in your approach. Right? But again, on my YouTube channel, what I really want to talk about, what I really want to focus on doesn't get that much attention. But if I post a video about food, a lot of people watch it. Because a lot of people like to eat. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not judging or criticizing that. But, and I enjoy making food. I enjoy doing the food videos. I'm glad that I'm able to help people to learn, alternative recipes or ways to cook, or even to help wean people off of meat for those who want to get off of it. And some people judge and criticize, oh, we're not supposed to have soy, oh, we're not supposed to have, this or that. And I do understand that. But some people, you can't just take it away cold turkey. They need a substitute because everybody's brain does not work the same way. And so this is my way of helping those people who cannot just go cold turkey and jump off the wagon and, go from one extreme to another. I'm giving them alternative alternative things to eat so that they still feel like they're full and satisfied. Although when I make a great salad for someone or a wrap and it only has vegetables on it, one of the things that they mention is how full they feel. Right? So some people know you don't have to have meat to feel full. You don't have to have meat to be satiated. You can have a meal that's full of vegetables and it still tastes great because the spices that were used to make this recipe make it great. Right? And food is all about how you season it. Even if it's raw food, if you season it well, it's going to taste good. Right? If it's something cooked, it's about how you season it and the spices you use and making sure that it's done, right? Some people can grasp that concept and some people cannot, because some people don't cook at all. They're not interested in trying to learn how to cook at all. They would rather eat out or have someone else cook. But it is better when you cook at home because then you know exactly what's going into what you've prepared. And if you start to enjoy cooking, you can prepare it with love, which I love to cook. So the food it tastes better when it comes from the heart, right? When it's somebody who really enjoys cooking, they want you to look forward to eating this meal, it tastes better. And you're absorbing good energy when you eat this food, right? So if you have an opportunity, check out Dan Calloway. He has 2 channels, Dan Calloway and Dan Calloway 2, which I wasn't able to find Dan Calloway 2 for some reason, but I know he mentioned it. And check out Papa Duck and some of his videos. Because again, he has some great commentary as well. And I don't know why I had that dream, but maybe that answer will come out. Maybe one day I will have the opportunity to meet him. Who knows? But these are 2 great guys. They're not the only ones. There's Red Pill and Blue Pill, Brother Sanchez. But for me, I watched Dan Calloway and Papa Duck the most. That's just what I'm going to say. I know that Brother Sanchez focuses a lot on round earth or versus a flat earth. And Red Pill and Blue Pill, they talk about different subtopics. There's also, there's another guy, I can't think of his name right now. But he's Muslim and, he's kind of traditional. Whereas, a lot of people have this philosophy that men should be the lead. But sometimes the women that they're with or the women that they're interested in make better decisions. And this is not to knock them or make them feel less of a man or emasculate them. But if he's with a woman who makes better decisions, she's not gonna follow him. And I apologize if that offends anyone. But if a woman feels that she makes better, and not that she thinks she's better, not that she won't still treat him like he's the man of the household, but he's gonna feel emasculated. He's gonna just say, "Well, what do you want to do?" I was watching Stefan Speaks and two other guys yesterday, and they were basically talking about that. If let's say, for example, she wants to write a book about spirituality, and he does not, and he's like, "Oh, well, we're just not gonna do that." She's not gonna want to follow him because she doesn't want to. She's on a different level. This does not mean that someone thinks that they're better or that they are actually. This is not about being better. But in terms of spirituality, we can all be on different levels based on what we've learned or based on what we've done in our lives. Right? So if somebody's on a different page, we won't even call it a different level. If somebody's ahead 10 pages and another person is 10 pages behind, again, this is not being less than or better than. This is not about that. It's just that someone has already advanced to the next step or the next page or several pages. Some people just want to simply, go to work and come home, whereas some people are like, no, that's not the type of lifestyle that I want to live. I feel like I can have more or do better, right? And again, using that word better loosely. KRS One has a video. It's called Three Types. It's from the Hidden Colors series, right? I think the very first one. And he mentions that there are three types of slaves. And the first one would say, uh, basically, they don't know that they're a slave. And the second one will say, "Oh, what do you mean? Master treats me well." And the third one is like, "Oh, I'm not really a slave. I'm really, trying to see what's going on with this map so I can get out of here." Right? Then he compared it to modern times. "Oh, how do you feel about this job?" And I think he used FedEx as an example. "Oh, well, it pays pretty decent and, they treat me all right." And another person will say, "What do you mean? Why do I have a job? I need a job," type of attitude. And the third one will say, "Oh, well, I don't really want to be at this job because I'm really, an artist and I do, da 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 da." Those mentalities still exist. And so, again, you have some people who just want to, go to work, come home, pay their bills, and they're just fine with that. You have others who want to, go to work, um, and they're not really fine with it, but they feel like they don't have any other choice. And then you have those who want to be free of all of it because they see it as, bondage. And they don't have the freedom to get up every day and do what they want because they have responsibilities. And in this capitalist society, if you don't, have some type of income coming in, then, you know, things don't work out so well for you. And then you have those who know that they can have an income coming in and still do well, but they don't have to clock into somebody's clock 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, or whatever the schedule is. And, there's nothing wrong with either one, because it's all about personal preference. For some people, it is cognitive dissonance. And again, when you say things that are true or things that people don't understand, they do get attitude and get mad. Because like KRS One said, you'll have that person to say, "What do you mean? Why do I have a job?" Because they don't understand the perspective of the person who's asking the question. And they feel like this is what they have to do. Whereas again, you have people who understand that they don't have to do that. But that's what many of us have been told. You better get you a job. And then people who don't have a job, those who do, they're like, how is this person doing so and so and so and so and they don't have a job? Because it's possible. Anything is possible. You just have to have that mindset and be open to going in a different direction. And again, this is not me judging or criticizing anyone. This is not me saying what somebody should or should not do. Because we do, again, in a capitalist society, we have to do certain things to maintain, you know, not even, this is not even about luxury, right? This is about your monthly expenses. Maybe if you have a car or you take public transportation, whatever your mode of transportation is, whether it be your own vehicle or public transportation. Having food and whatever your monthly expenses are, whether you live someone with someone or you don't. And then everybody's level of tolerance is different because, some people can tolerate living in an apartment and some people can never see themselves living in an apartment and they have to live in a house. And neither one is wrong, again. But it requires just a different level of income. So for those who are satisfied with, having their basic needs be met, that's what they strive for. That's what they do. Okay, my basic needs are met, I'm good. I can take care of my family, I'm good. Then you have those who want to go on vacation or be able to go to the grocery store and buy whatever they want without being on a budget. Um, or again, take a flight at spur of the moment and go wherever they want. Then you have those who, want to own multiple cars, multiple properties, travel several times or whenever they want to, go wherever they want to, do whatever they want to, have a big home, buy designer clothing, whatever that looks like for the individual. Then you have some people who have money. They couldn't even imagine themselves wearing designer clothing. They'll shop at Walmart, but they have buku money in the bank. Because life is about choices, and life is what you make it. But again, some people don't know that they can have more and that it's okay for them to have more. That we're supposed to have more. That we're not supposed to live the way that we live. That we bartered and traded, prior to colonization. And that existed for thousands of years. Now we're relying on paper that really doesn't mean anything. And we're told that this is what you need in order to have a good life. You have some people who are in miserable relationships because the other person has money. But let me get off my soapbox because I feel like I just got on the soapbox. Again, if you have the opportunity, check out Dan Calloway and Papa Duck. Again, there are other influencers who have knowledge to share, and I do watch some of them as well sometimes, but not all the time. And I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as always, love y'all. Later. Mwah.